Now, game week 22 across the board has been fairly low scoring, but it's not gone too badly for me. So far, I'm on 49 points and sitting in 46k overall. And here are my transfer plans looking ahead to game week 23. So I'll start off the video just by quickly looking at how my team has gotten on so far in game week 22. You can see here, I'm conscious I'm recording this video early before the Chelsea v Wolves game. I've got Palmer in my team, no other assets from that game, and you can see there Salah is actually my captain. So, you know, if Palmer does really well, and to be honest, if other Chelsea assets do really well, I could see a little bit of a drop in rank from where I am at the moment. I'd probably imagine to finish this week in and around 50, 60, 70k overall, something like that, depending on how well some of the other Chelsea assets do. So I'll talk about my defence first. Sells, no clean sheet against Southampton. I'm a little bit disappointed by that. You've got to think, Nottingham Forest at home versus Southampton, who so far this season are the worst Premier League team in history. They didn't keep a clean sheet, and not only did they not keep a clean sheet, they conceded 2 goals. So yeah, 1 pointer for Sells. I'll let him off though, just because he's been so good for me in my team since I've had him. 2 assists for Lewis Hall and Ola Aina. Well, 1 assist respectively, 2 in total. I'll take that. Both have been absolute legends since they've come into my team. A clean sheet and a couple of bonus points for Anthony Robinson. I said this on my deadline stream. As much as I absolutely love him as an asset, I do feel some of his returns in recent game weeks have been a little bit jammy, but I'm very happy to take some jam because I've had some poor luck with some other assets this season. Rodgers with a blank against Arsenal and a yellow card for abusing the referee. I still hold that he is probably the best asset at this price point, but yeah, it was a disappointing game for him against Arsenal. Like I said, Cole Palmer still to play. I had Salah as my captain, who of course blanked, got the clean sheet, so I end up on 6 points. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the damage that people that have captained Cole Palmer could do to me. Semenyo, obviously Cole Palmer, I guess, just before I talk about Semenyo, Cole Palmer was an injury doubt going into this game week, so I'm kind of hoping not all that many people have captained him on that basis. Semenyo with an assist against Newcastle. Bournemouth played. They were really impressive against Newcastle in that game. Not many teams go to St James's Park and win, and very few teams go to St James's Park and absolutely thrash them, which Bournemouth did. I really like Semenyo, but with some potential changes I could make in my team, he could be gone soon. Not saying that I don't like him as an option. I just think with some of the changes I'll make, which you'll hear about in a second, I could potentially upgrade him. Haaland, Isak and Wood up front. A goal for Haaland against Ipswich. Although I'll admit he is quite close to being on the chopping block. Colwill. Oh, sorry, I said Colwill. Isak, a blank for him. I don't know why I said Colwill. I was looking at my bench then. Isak, a blank for him. Chris Wood, goal and assist against Southampton. In hindsight, you know, there was a lot of talk in my deadline stream chat about potentially captaining Chris Wood. I don't think I would have done. I just didn't see, you know, I saw a goal and an assist probably as his absolute ceiling, which obviously he did pull off. But I always felt Salah against Brentford just had more potential to haul and score more points. So yes, Chris Wood on the face of it right now looks like he was my best captain, but I'd still have given it to Salah in hindsight. All right, and now looking ahead to how my team is lining up for game week 23 onwards. Right now, I'm sitting on 4 free transfers, but I don't have anything in the bank. So I can't upgrade anyone. I have to sell an asset in order to upgrade some of the players, basically. And the one main talking point right now, well, I guess there's 2, and they're kind of interlinked. Number 1 is the Liverpool-Everton double game week in game week 24. Right now, I've got only Salah with a double in that week. You can see there, Everton-Bournemouth for him. I do think I want to buy some more Liverpool players and maybe an Everton asset, but I'm not overly sure whether I want to do that yet. I know Ndiaye played really well against Tottenham. He's probably, and to be fair, Calvert-Lewin as well. He's probably Ndiaye the one that I want to go for, but it's just whether it's worth just going for a better single game week asset. You know, it's great to target the double, but then you've got to have an Everton player long term, and I'm not sure I want to do that. The way that I'm planning on funding Liverpool assets is by selling Erling Haaland, right? I have had him in my team since the start of the season, and I've held him through all the pain of recent games have been all right, to be fair, but I've held him through, quite a lot of pain, and it's almost, if not already, time to go. His fixture's coming up. are pretty poor, right? He's got Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham. Then after that, he's got Nottingham Forest. So I'd say, bar maybe that Tottenham game and maybe the Chelsea one, to be fair, that's 6 pretty woeful fixtures. And just for the sheer amount of money he's taken up in my team, the fact that I probably won't captain him, you know, I don't really see a justification to captain him at all over the next 6 game weeks, probably means it's time to go. And I think potential replacements for him, I'm looking at a couple. I'm looking at either Cody Gakpo or Yohan Wissa. And again, I'm asking the question, is it worth taking out Haaland this week when he plays Chelsea at home and making a transfer now? Because ultimately, you know, I'm selling him to fund Liverpool players. We'll talk about my favourite Liverpool assets in a second. I need to talk about who I'm going to replace him with first. Gakpo's an option. You know, he's a Liverpool asset, so I'll talk about him now. 6 goals, well, 6 attacking returns in his last 9. Wissa's got, well, comparative to Wissa, he's got 5 attacking returns in his 10. I think these are the 2 that I'd probably go for. Obviously, Gakpo's got his double in 24 against Everton and Bournemouth. Wissa doesn't have a double. But I would always say with Cody Gakpo, whilst he's probably the best other Liverpool attacker to go for, I'm just being careful with my language there, Liverpool attacker that isn't Salah to go for, I'd still doubt his, you know, total minutes over that double game week. Whereas you pick someone like Wissa, you know you're getting 90 minutes every week. So I think with Haaland, these are the 2 players that I'm potentially looking to replace him with. I haven't fully decided yet, but it will be either Cody Gakpo and Wissa. And I just want to go back to the topic of Liverpool assets, right? So I think right now, I've tiered them. So I've done this in previous videos as well. And this is a kind of carbon copy of what you've seen in other videos. But I think it kind of makes sense. This is my opinion, my transfer plans video. So my opinion on these assets, right? I've categorized them in good and okay. And then you can see all the other players I probably wouldn't pick. For me, the good Liverpool assets that I'd want to pick are Salah. Obviously, the assistant manager chip becomes available in Gameweek 24, so you can deploy it on Arnie Slot. I think he's a good Liverpool asset. I'm going to class him as a Liverpool asset because he obviously takes up one of those 3 Liverpool slots if you are to bring him in. Van Dijk, Trent, and Konate. I think these are probably the 5 good Liverpool picks. So yeah, that's kind of my view on that really. In terms of the okay picks, I probably have Gakpo as the outstanding Liverpool attacker that isn't Salah. But like I said, I'm still not solid on his minutes. Jota and Diaz are not solid on their minutes either. And then Robertson and Alisson. I think Alisson's pretty decent, but I just wouldn't want to have him long term. And Robertson, you know, I'm not sure I can trust his minutes. So I don't think he's playing all that well this season. So going back to the good assets, I think one move I'm definitely going to make. I've just spoken about Haaland, but I need to sell Haaland to facilitate this. I will probably get rid of Colwill for Trent. I think that move makes sense. And then it's just a case of, do I take out Haaland for Gakpo or Wissa? And if I bring in Gakpo, it doesn't allow me to use my assistant manager on Arnie's slot. And that's something I'll talk about now, actually, because I think the assistant manager is really important to talk about right now. Now, if anyone's a regular watcher of this channel, you're probably going to get a bit bored of me talking about the assistant manager chip. But I'm talking about it because I'm really thinking about using it in Gameweek 24. And it all depends on one thing, basically. So these are the assistant manager prices. Obviously, if you deploy it in Gameweek 24, there's 2 options available to you. You've got Arnie Slot and David Moyes. And right now, I must say, I am a little bit torn between the 2 of them. I've been big on Arnie Slot previously. I'm kind of flip-flopping a little bit because if you go for David Moyes, it allows you to get 3 Liverpool like outfield players into your team and then also still have assistant manager coverage for Gameweek 24. So I quite like the idea of bringing him in. And I wouldn't, you know, he's got Leicester and Liverpool as his double game week. You'd like to think Everton could beat or at least get a result against Leicester. And then if they get a draw or score a goal or actually beat Liverpool, which they probably won't do, the bonus points you would get from that game, because obviously Liverpool are ranked higher than Everton in the league by more than 5 places, you get some pretty substantial bonus points if that were to happen. So I quite like the idea of using it on David Moyes. And the reason why, again, I've probably shown this graphic 2 or 3 times on my channel now. The reason why I'm quite hot on a Game Week 24 assistant manager is because we have a potential double game week happening in Game Week 25. But it involves Spurs reaching the EFL Cup final and obviously knocking, I think they got Liverpool, haven't they? Knocking Liverpool out. So that's a little bit of whataboutery to happen. But there is a potential double game week involving Spurs and Fulham that could happen in Game Week 25 as well. So I quite like the idea, I'll just go back to the assistant manager prices. I quite like the idea of having Slot or Moyes in Game Week 24. And then if that double does come to fruition, I quite like the idea of switching it to Marco Silva or Postecoglou if he doesn't get sacked for Game Week 25. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the assistant manager. So just going back to my team, if I remind myself of the potential moves that I could potentially make ahead of Game Week 23, it's selling Haaland for either Gakpo or Wissa. It's likely selling Colwill for Trent. And then that would leave me a substantial amount of cash in the bank to upgrade one of my midfielders. And I'll be honest with you, it's so tempting to want to spend, like, just fill out your budget and have nothing in the bank. But right now in FPL, I genuinely think the two best midfielders that I don't have in my team are Gordon and Mbeumo. I've put in their stats here over the last 10 appearances. They're both pretty similar in terms of the attacking returns that they've got. And there's really quite little, very little actually, to separate them. Gordon's probably edging it in terms of creativity. Mbeumo's got more goals and Mbeumo's on penalties. And I would probably argue over the next 3 games, Mbeumo's fixtures are probably slightly better, even though Gordon's got Southampton in Game Week 23. Obviously, that's really a team to target at the moment. But then Fulham and Man City away, relatively tough. Whereas Crystal Palace, Tottenham and West Ham for Mbeumo, at least from an attacking perspective, you could easily see him score in all of those games. So again, I'm not going to say I've nailed on my transfer decisions yet, because this is my transfer plans video. And I'll just go back to my team to summarise things. So this is what I'm thinking, right? And it's a lot of what ifs. So my option number 1 is just to roll, right? Except that I've got Haaland versus Chelsea for 1 more week. Except that I've got Semenyo against Nottingham Forest at home. And except that I've got to play Robinson against Man United. Roll my transfer, so I have 5 free transfers ahead of Game Week 23 to really maximise my chances for the double. And also potentially use the assistant manager chip, right? I don't need to wildcard or anything, so the assistant manager chip's definitely going to be available. My other option then is to sell Haaland for one of Gakpo or Wissa. I think as the week goes on, I'll become a little bit more decided on which of those two I prefer. Sell Semenyo for either Gordon or Mbeumo, and then get rid of Colwill and bring in Trent. And then that potentially leaves either 2 or 3 Liverpool assets to open up the doors for Arne Slot or potentially David Moyes if I go for Gakpo and I'm already tripled up on Liverpool. So yeah, that's my transfer plans as it stands. Like I said, a lot of whataboutery, potential couple players to replace Haaland or Semenyo. But right now, that's where my head's at. So hopefully you appreciate hearing about my transfer plans. All right, well, that's the end of the video. As always, it felt, I don't know, just a little bit less structured than my other ones. I don't really write a script or have a clue of truly what I'm going to say in these videos before I actually make them, because I just think it's more valuable to people to just get my raw thoughts on my transfer plans. That's the whole idea behind these videos. And the fact that, I happen to be 46k overall at the moment, have a decent rank, I think people will be probably interested into what I'm going to do with my team. Again, I'm not getting carried away with this rank, right? I've gained quite well over the last few game weeks, and I'm well aware if you gain it over a few game weeks, you can quite easily lose it as well. So, I'm really trying not to get carried away with things, and I'm just trying to stay humble with it. But I hope you can appreciate, having a good rank for an FPL content creator is something you'd want to promote. So I hope you don't mind me promoting it in my title and thumbnails. All right, if you enjoyed the video, found it useful, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments what other changes you'd make to my team if you agree or disagree with my transfer plans there. And if you haven't already enjoyed the video and you want to see more from me, you can subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there on your screen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.